One. Looks like we're on the air.
Yep.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Live from My Mother's Basement. And I can't tell you how happy I am to be doing the show tonight because we're actually in Boca Raton. I've done the show a few times in Boca Raton because my cousin Peter Lemongello was on the show. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I'm down here doing some work, and who I get to bump into but the legend himself. This is the actor, producer, all-around great guy, Bruce Busta Soscia.
Yeah.
Say hello, man.
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
How you doing?
Thank you, Mike, for having me.
I got to tell Busta not to lean on the table too much because it shakes a little bit. Watch your arms. Watch your arms.
Like a bull in a china cabinet. I feel like we're in a race car together. I don't know if you're driving because you're in that seat.
I'm on this side. I'm driving. Unless we're in
We
Italy.
need helmets. We need helmets right away. It's gonna get dangerous, and you have a feeling.
There you go. If I'm driving, we're definitely going to need a helmet.
Yeah. Especially if we keep drinking Massimo's wine.
Oh shit! We're already plugging some great sponsors from friendships that we have on the streets or in the show.
How
So
about
there he
this?
is. Go ahead. Boom.
Capiche.
Massimo, I hope you're watching
Me too.
because that just cost you $10,000 after the money I spent getting a suit today.
That's right.
So cheers with the cabiche.
Salud.
We're
Capiche.
drinking wine. We're in a beautiful place. I got my sign in the background. That's all I could figure out where to hang that son of a bitchin' thing. And we're gonna have some fun. We got some laughs. We got some food, and we're gonna talk some cool shit that's going on in the world. Right now, let's get something out of the way. It's the rant of the day. Roe v. Wade. So it looks like some states are going to say you can. Some states are going to say you can't. I don't know what you people say. I've always been the type of person that said, hey, listen, don't tell somebody what to do. It's their body. That's just me. I don't see why that's not everybody. Like if somebody says, if I was to say, hey, listen, I don't want to wear this jacket. And somebody said, but you have to have it. You bought it. And I say, no, I don't want it. I'm going to throw it out. I guess this is a bad example.
Yeah, it's
I can't figure
probably
out.
not the same. not even close.
It's not, yeah. All right. Well, then what do you got on that?
I ain't saying nothing. I don't know nothing about nothing. I'm part of the Mike Marino presidency cabinet.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about nothing. I ain't seen nothing. I ain't saying nothing. Forget about it. I don't get involved in politics or religion.
I like the way he just wrote my new act.
Salud.
It really just sucks. And I can't get an analogy on it because a lot of people know I don't talk about politics. I don't like to talk about what's in the news too much. But what's going on in the world right now is starting to get out of hand. Because here we are in Florida, and of course they're doing whatever they're doing to Disneyland. I'm not familiar with that type of stuff. But I think this governor here in Florida seems to be a pretty great guy. Look at us. We had a show this Saturday night. Nobody had a mask on, and nobody was being proofed of having a vaccination.
Just living life, man. That's the way it should be.
And it kind of was like this for quite some time.
That's why I showed up here. I love it. I love it here.
Yeah.
I love it here.
All right, well, let's get into that. So let's start off with where are you really from?
Where I'm from? Me?
Mm-hmm.
I am originally from, I was born in California. A lot of people don't know that.
See that? I had no idea.
It's a little surprise for you.
Who looks more like a Californian, me or him?
I think I look like a California raisin.
Wow, look at those guns full of tattoos.
My mom and dad were high school sweethearts, and my dad was a Marine. So he flew out. We're originally from Rhode Island, the smallest state in the country. And most people don't even know what Rhode Island is. They say, oh, yeah, Long Island, yeah. And ultimately, I just sometimes just go, yeah, whatever, buddy. Yeah, Long Island, I walk away. But I'm from Rhode Island. I'm very proud. I went to school in Cranston, Rhode Island. It's right next to Providence, the main city. And it's a very special place. Very special place.
Rhode Island, we always talked about and heard about, of course, being from New Jersey because it's next to Boston. Boston is known for a lot of Italians, a great accent, I think. Is it the north end of Boston that's all the Italians, or the south end?
North end.
The north end of Boston, they have a lot of Italian festivals, and a lot of people from Rhode Island have Italian
But
histories
I
as
need
well.
to clarify something. So a lot of people, especially New York people and New Jersey people, they kind of, when I say I'm from Rhode Island, they go, "Oh yeah, I know what that is," and they lump me or us in with Boston. And the funny thing is, we are so unique, we almost take offense. I have respect. I have a lot of friends in Boston and a lot of friends in New York, but we're from Providence, Rhode Island. We're in between, and we have cultural influences from both. So New York folks, they say you have a Boston accent, and Boston folks say you have a New York accent. Guess what? It's because I have a Rhode Island accent, and it's very different, and it's actually the same but different. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense because, yeah, we do. We group Rhode Island into Boston.
Don't
somehow.
do it anymore.
I don't know how they did that.
We're
You know,
special. We're very
from-
special people.
People would say, like, you're from Providence? Boston, right?
Yeah.
Boston area.
I said, no,
But
no, no.
You know what it is? It's like, let's say, the outer boroughs of New York.
Yeah.
You have Brooklyn, you have Staten Island, you got Long Island, you got the Bronx.
Queens?
There's one more, Queens.
See, I know.
They actually all sound different.
It's true. But only you guys know that because you're from within.
Correct.
On the outside looking in, New York sounds like New York, but in New York, you know the different sounds.
Right.
Just like us.
I never even knew we had a different accent until I moved out to California. And then
Man,
people were like,
forget
"Hey
about
man,
it.
you sound like you're from where? Are you from Brooklyn?" I'm like, "I'm not from Brooklyn.
Right.
Why do you think I sound like I'm from Brooklyn?" Whereas
It's generalization. They generalize because that's from their experience. Maybe they knew someone from Brooklyn, and you sound like them to them.
right, you actually don't have an accent to me.
I don't. See, I've been trying to
You
tell
don't.
people that for years. I don't have an accent. You all have an accent, not me.
He doesn't have an accent.
This is standard American English, just so you know.
Standard American English is actually real.
That's right. It's a
People-
real thing.
People in Manhattan have standard English.
Standard English.
Manhattan. Because they're
Manhattanese.
from Manhattanese, yeah, Brooklynese.
Brooklynese.
Oh, so what'd you do? Study this shit?
Listen, buddy, there's a lot of things you don't know about
See,
me. I've been
that's-
studying for years.
All right. This is gonna be great. Because the only reason why I actually know what he's talking about because I studied this shit
Look at that.
at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts.
Wow. I studied at the Kama Sutra Academy of American something or other, too.
Really?
It was something like that. Yeah, it sounded similar.
You don't have an accent. Here's how we're gonna prove it. All right. Say, I'll say it, but then you say it. So I would say walk, bought, thought.
Walk, bought, thought.
All right, but are you saying it like me, or is that the way you would say it?
Maybe give me a sentence.
I walked to the store.
I walked to the store.
Yeah, I see. So his walk is a lot less than mine. His the correct English is walk.
Is it?
It fucking hurts my throat. You
Don't
see his
tell me.
face?
That's crazy.
Hey, I
That
can't
doesn't
deal
make
with that.
I wouldn't even, that sounds like the thing they cook at the Chinese restaurant, the wok.
Yeah.
The wok.
And right now, I just want to let you know your friend Tommaso's watching the show.
Oh, God, Tommaso, what's up, buddy? How you doing? Another cigar guy.
He wanted to come to the show the other night with Dina Martin, and I had, I couldn't make it happen, but I'll be back soon.
That's all right.
And keep on watching
Next
this
time.
show and hang out. We miss you. We love you. You're a great guy. You're friends with him, right?
Yeah, he's
Tommaso.
great kid. Salute,
Ciao, Tommaso.
Ciao, bello.
Right. One of the things I had to do when I was an up and coming actor in New York City is I went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and I never thought I was going to be told you have an accent, you need to get rid of that accent, or you're never going to work in the business. So instead of saying walk, bought, thought, it was walk, bought, and thought.
Wow.
Then I went back to New Jersey, and I said to my Jersey friends, walk, bought, thought, and they punched the shit out of me.
I believe it. I was about to punch you right now if you kept saying it. I was feeling all kinds of cringing, like bugs are crawling out of me. What is that shit?
All right, but Providence, Rhode Island.
Yeah, that's right.
Born in California, starts his
Yeah.
life out in Providence, Rhode Island. You're growing up, and let's say junior high, high school. What were you doing in your life?
I was mostly in detention, suspension.
We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Was that the wrong answer? That wasn't on the script.
I was mostly in detention.
Well, you said you hit a hot bar. You said middle school, and the first thing I thought was, oh boy, I spent a lot of time with the principal.
All right. Listen, whatever you can't talk about, you can't talk about. But we're going to assume certain things by the look. So are we saying we're stereotyping? And the answer is yes, we are. So junior high, high school, what's your family doing? What you do?
I was a little wayward. about middle school, high school age.
I never expected him to say wayward.
You like
I was
that?
a little wayward.
I told you, I've been studying these words. I was a little wayward. Just a little wayward.
A little wayward.
Don't ask
Words.
anybody I grew up with because they'll say he was a little more than wayward. He was a lot wayward. Oh my God.
All right. So, what were you doing? Could we talk about that? What was your first job?
I worked a lot. I gotta say, my family was a very, very old school, tight knit, very old school Italian family, Italian community. And I actually have an Irish mother, but she was raised by Italians. So the only culture I know is a very, very old school Italian culture. So it was get a job. I'm 8, 9 years old, and I got 3 paper routes. I was washing dishes, 4 different restaurants. I mean, you name it, I did it, and I've never ever stopped. And I'm actually thankful that my family said, "Kid, you want something nice? You gotta go out and get it yourself." And I'm still doing it.
Right.
I don't know if you did the same thing, but me,
Of course.
I mean, slinging papers and collect. I learned how to collect envelopes, which kind of segued into other parts of my young adult life. But as a kid, I loved being a paper boy. I loved the freedom, getting on my BMX bike and wrapping the big bag around the handlebars and dumping all the papers in and going. And I'm from the old school. We went and put them in a special place where the people wanted it. They would leave the envelope. You get the envelope, and there was a little tip in there. It was nice. I learned at a young age you exchange services for money, and sometimes it adds up to a nice little pile, and then you can buy nice things.
That's what I think is missing in the world today.
It's true. Very
Teaching
true.
kids to have a business mind, to go out and have a job and earn your keep.
That's right.
So we had friends that were paper boys. We
Oh, yeah.
called it the paper boy, and he
That's right.
threw it from the front of his BMX, and he whipped it. And he
Yeah,
whipped it.
yeah.
Me and my brothers worked at the church.
Nice.
We had to go down there on a Wednesday night and clean up after bingo, which
Sure.
was petrifying
Of
because at
course.
9 o'clock at night, when all the bingo people left, you and your 13-year-old brother are sweeping the floors.
Dodging the priest.
Be-
Oh, what, I wasn't supposed to say that part. That
No.
wasn't in the script.
You're looking at those big angels,
Oh yeah.
and you'd petrify.
You feel like God's watching you.
Yeah, I think we made 60 cents an hour.
It's
And then
respectable.
on Sunday, you had to clean up after the masses. Believe it or not, you know the little missalette, which is what you would open and sing the songs?
Sure.
We had to burn them at the end of the month,
Really?
and there was an incinerator.
And that was before COVID. That's wild.
And you would put them in there and burn them up, and it was petrifying. But you had a job.
Yeah.
So,
We learned the value of hard work at a young age, and I love that our generation had that. You know, at the time maybe it was tough, and I had calluses on my hands, but my legs were strong. I rode my BMX bike. I always had a job, and I mean, I worked at all kinds of places when I was a kid. A lot of
Remember-
restaurants and stuff, man.
you can remember the BMX bike,
Oh God, there was
And
such a
you-
sense of freedom, man.
right? And then when it started to rust up a little bit, what'd you do?
Low spray paint.
You spray painted
That's
it.
it. Or
Right.
you might find a guy that might know a guy that might have a few extra bike parts. They might let you borrow from somebody else's bike. You never know.
And then you put on this thing called a sissy bump, but you probably can't say that today because you'll get thrown in jail
That's one of those no-no
for
words.
offending somebody.
It's
I
true.
don't even know why we called it the sissy ball, but it was up in the air and it was beautiful. Then you had the flapping
With
things in
banana
the wing.
seed.
The
What about
banana
the banana
seed.
seed?
The banana. You can't say banana anymore. They'll consider you a fruit.
That's true.
Um,
No bananas.
what a good old days,
I
man.
had pegs on my bike. Pegs. I think I'm 46, so my generation, when I was on the bike, it started having like the pegs where you could either have a passenger and they put their feet and you ride them, and we'd crash together and get hurt and bumps and bruises, or you put your feet on there and do tricks.
Do you remember when you put your a card, what do you call it, playing
Yeah.
card, deck card, in the thing that was your
Oh,
motor?
that was great.
Get the,
That was
it's like, get the fuck out of the way. Here I come.
Here I
Coming
come.
down the street.
Yeah.
Did
When I,
anybody looking?
when I was a kid, I could not wait on my BMX to find like a curb to jump off the curb. Get as much speed as you could, or we'd get a cinder block and throw a piece of plywood over and make a jump. I can't tell you how many times I landed on my head, my elbow, and my mother would say, "Get back outside. I don't want to hear you crying. Wipe that blood off and get out there with your friends. Leave me alone."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We just had to go play. Now forget it. There's 911. There's all these things.
You had-
Stitches. Who got stitches? I never got stitches.
Tape Tape them up, roll them around.
That's right. There was if I broke a finger, they got a popsicle stick and taped it up, and that thing was good in 3 days. Bones hanging out, it didn't matter.
Isn't that amazing?
You're thirsty? Get the hose, the green hose. Forget it. And look, I'm great. Look how healthy I am. I grew up on the garden hose.
I remember so badly, that you hurt your finger, and somehow, somewhere, you had the popsicle stick. Somebody had to finish one.
Everybody had a
two of them.
popsicle.
It was sticky with ants on it, and you wrapped it around your finger, and then you look cool. Hey, look at me.
Yeah. Broke a finger.
I jumped over 3 bricks. 3, not 2.
That's right.
Bruce did 2, I did 3.
Trey.
I went over, snapped my finger.
Oh man, those were the days. I can't say enough. I reflect on that a lot. Now I have a convertible, and it kind of gives me that essence of that the wind in your hair, riding down the street with the BMX, and I enjoy it. I love that.
Yeah. You still got the paper out. He throws it out the top.
I don't have the paper out, but I still get some envelopes now and then.
Okay.
Allegedly.
That's a good segue. It's a good
segue. Which way we go?
We can go any way you want, but Providence, New Jersey, New York,
we've got a lot of similarities.
Boston.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who of certain Italian descent get involved with, let's say, the boys.
Maybe making pizzas. Yeah,
Maybe make a pizza. We got pizza on the table tonight. We'll talk about it a little bit. We even got antipast, but most people out there watching right now would call it antipuesto, which is really going to upset everybody. We also got some wine. When you graduated high school, but see, the reason why I'm getting to this is because I know Bruce was in the business of owning barbershops.
That's right.
And when I first met you and we were talking on the phone, you were telling me about the barbershops, and that was really interesting to me because I always wondered what that would be like. I never in my life had a sharp shave. What do you call it? A sharp shave?
Razor.
Straight razor.
Straight edge razor.
I never had that shave. I was always afraid somebody's going to fuck me up.
Too many movies.
No, not that I was going to get killed. That I was just going to get
nicked.
And
now you're going to walk around with blood stain on your white t-shirt.
Yes, actually. And I don't have thick hair anymore, so I don't go see a barber. I go see a girl, cuts the back and pretends I look good.
Can you grow a beard? Have you ever grown a beard?
I could, but it would be white.
Have you ever done it?
No.
Why don't you give it a shot? We could be like Beard Brothers. I think it would. What do you guys think out there? Comment, please. Let me know if you think Mike Marino should grow a beard. Just give it a shot. He's afraid because it's white. I think that's beautiful. Women love it.
It would come in white. And
you keep a nice look, keep it nice and groomed, like just trimmed. You know what I'm saying? Nice, symmetrical, clean lines. I think it would look smooth on you.
Well, what made you get into? Can you do a straight shave?
I've done it for 20 years, but I kind of retired from that. Right. I don't shine shoes no more. If you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know if they got that message to you up there. If they got that, I don't shine shoes anymore.
I don't do haircuts anymore.
But you did do it?
I did.
How does one actually learn how to do it then?
You cut a few people and you say I'm sorry and you move on to the next one. You might cut him and you another apology.
No, this is something that people would actually
serious. That's how you do it.
Would like to know because I can only shave my face with the Bic disposable razor, not the Pivot. The Pivot would jack my ass up.
Right.
I don't like to use an electric shaver too much, especially in here. But I always wondered how that would feel, what that would be like. You see all that.
If it's done right, it's a beautiful sensation, and you feel clean, like you feel like invigorated afterwards. But most guys, they're just hacking people, man. They're just get next.
I've seen that they don't even use the blade anymore. Now they actually use a big shaver.
There are places that, for liability purposes, maybe they nick somebody, they get a lawsuit or something, so they go, they won't use the razor anymore. But my place is, I built one back in 2005, a nice barbershop, and it was pretty cool. It was like kind of on the cusp of, in my area, where barbershops were still old-fashioned. There was nothing wrong with that, but me going into these barbershops, I'd say I'm either waiting forever or there's just a magazine, maybe there's a black and white TV. It wasn't very contemporary. So my thing, I think one of the reasons I had success in that world was I made a list of all the things I hated about barbershops. I hated waiting. I didn't know if I was next. I was bored. I wasn't comfortable. The chairs were always uncomfortable. So what I did, the first place I opened, I put leather couches and flat screens, and I had the coolest motif, if you will. I had bigger than life-size Al Capone posters and Goodfellas, and got all the movies, all our favorite movies from our demographic. And And people loved it. It was an overnight success, and I brought in all the best guys that I knew, and kind of had like a little barber gang, if you will, and you know, different demographics. I had Spanish guys, black guys, white guys, Italian guys, and we had a great family environment where everybody came there, everybody felt comfortable, everybody loved it, and it was a hit. So after the third year, I just said, you know what, I got to do more of these, and I just went boom, 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 boom. Next thing you know, I had 10, 12 places in the course of 10 years, and I, you know, all pure passion and just went for it, man. And next thing you know, I had this little empire, and my kids were growing up, and they never wanted for anything. They grew up a little different than me, and at the end of it, I started feeling like I lost my passion. I wanted to try something else. I kind of felt trapped.
So you actually had 10 barbershops?
Yeah.
What were they called?
GQ. They were gentlemen's quarters, doing business as Busta's GQ Barber Salon. So my nickname in the streets is Busta. Back where I'm from, most people don't even know my real name. They'll say, "Hey, Busta," and it's kind of like a funny thing, you know. And I told my girl one time when I was first dating, I said, you know, you might feel a little weird. We go somewhere, somebody might pull over or walk up, "Hey, Busta!" It's like a thing. And she goes, "Oh yeah, this guy's full of himself. Don't you know? We go to a restaurant. I'm getting Busta." We go down the street like, "I'm Busta," and she's looking at. I just looked at her and smiled. I said, "I told you." She goes, "What the fuck? People really do that to you?" And I go, "It's like a neighborhood thing, I guess, you know." But my barbershops here, they were Busta's GQ Barber Salon. I just sold the last few of them last year before I moved to Florida.
So you have all these salons. They call it a salon or barbershop?
Barbershop.
Barbershop.
Barber salon. But yeah, either way.
They're cool places. So there's a
Lot
lot
of
of people
fun.
doing some cool stuff with
Yeah.
barbershops
Come a
these
long
days.
way.
They look like
Some of them look like nightclubs or lounges.
They're a
They're
cool
beautiful.
place to go. There's a lot in Los Angeles where I live.
Mm-hmm.
There's a chain of them, Floyd's, which I
see
guess is a takeoff of Floyd's Barbershop in the Andy Griffith Show, but it doesn't look anything like that.
Sure.
These are badass.
Well,
Almost looks like
LED
guys can go in there,
lights.
go in there and get a tattoo. or
Yeah,
get
yeah.
A shave. In fact, somebody just wrote in while you were telling me I should get a shave or I should grow a beard. He said you should get a tattoo of a beard. That's kind of funny.
That's
I
the
have,
thing. They
I have
do
no
that now.
tattoos.
They do that now.
You get a tattoo at the barbershop.
Yeah, but they tattoo like people's hairlines now and everything. It's wild. You probably could tattoo a
I'm
beard.
not gonna
You
get
get a
it.
Busta beard. One of these. Take this off and
That's
put it right on Mike Marino.
Why don't you shave? Well, I kind of
I
can't.
can't. Stop with that. Typecast. Get the guy with the dark beard and the white hair.
When you're owning all of these barbershops, I guess you got to hire the barbers.
Mm-hmm.
Were you doing a lot of the cutting, or were you just
I did both.
owning it now?
I did both.
Oh, yeah?
So I had my own clientele that I maintained, and I oversaw, you know, all my locations, and it was a lot of work. I had a lot of fun. I met a lot of really good people through the years, and even the barbers. I had a lot of, you know, brotherly love with a lot of the guys that came to work for me. I always treated them like family, you know, and I helped a lot of guys, young guys, get off the streets. Maybe that was all they had.
Didn't go to school to be a barber?
Sometimes in my state you don't have to. You can be mentored or apprenticed under a
Oh,
master.
really?
Yeah.
Can you
So I did a
imagine
lot of that. I apprenticed a lot of guys, and I'm honored. I'm very proud. I have a sense of pride. There's a lot of guys that have their own businesses now that started with me. That were like, you know, one of my underlings or students, if you will. And you know, I always kept it real with them and kept it straight, and I give them life advice, and not just about, you know, the job we were doing or the trade, but I love people, man. I've always been a people person.
Yeah, we hit it off over the phone. We met through a mutual friend who's an actor, and he said to me, you know, check out what this guy was doing. So when I looked, I guess I wrote to you on one of the social media things, and you said, "Oh wow, I like what you're doing." I said, "I like what you're doing." We exchanged phone numbers.
A couple of years ago,
Sort of
yeah.
bullshit. That actor's name is Peter Gaudio,
Oh, I
who
love
also
Peter.
is
Peter's
Mr.
the
New York
best.
City. He's a trainer.
He's jacked.
And
He's a monster.
you know, it's funny, you have conversations with Pete, and he'll tell you things like, "I've never had a potato chip in my life." And I'm
I
like,
believe
"No." You know, I wish I could be like that. And then I have a Coca-Cola. He looks at me and goes, "No,
Forget it.
you're going to die
Those
tomorrow."
girls. Peter's
So,
great. We have a lot of mutual friends.
yeah, how did the name Busta actually come to be?
I mean, a lot of people don't know, but it actually came from my mom. My mom, I think it was one of those things like, your little ball buster.
Yeah.
You know, I think it stemmed from that. And then it turned into Busta this, Busta that. Next thing you know, it stuck, the neighborhood, and then it spread. And I was a kid. And now it's starting to go to school. You know, when you're in school, the teachers, and they call you by your real name, your last name, all that. So a lot of times just by your last name. But, you know, the kids in the neighborhood, and it just started spreading. And next thing you know, it stuck with me. And I kind of liked it. You know, where I come from, everybody has a nickname. And if you don't, we give you one.
Yeah.
You know? So that
Nice
was
to have a
that's-
nickname.
Yeah, that's
My
good.
nickname was Marino,
Yeah, that's it.
but I had two brothers, and their nickname was not Marino.
No
How
kidding.
the hell did I get it?
That's wild.
Hey, Marino.
Well, maybe they had a different distinguishing characteristic about them.
Probably.
Did one have like a bigger ear than the other, like a longer arm or
No,
something?
actually, me and my two brothers actually look a lot alike.
Wow.
You could tell we're brothers pretty quickly.
Okay.
And when we were younger, me and my older brother looked like twins because we're only a year apart.
Wow. You are like, that's called Irish twins, by the way.
Irish
That
twins?
means your parents didn't have a television set.
Oh, yeah,
Just
well,
banging out kids.
they probably didn't.
Yeah, I believe it.
My father used to say all the time, I'm from the old days. I had sex with your mother 3 times. Paul, Michael, and Anthony. And it
That's
worked.
enough! I don't want to hear anymore!
Yeah.
Pass the fucking macaroni!
So you're in the barbershop business, and all of a sudden you decide, you know what, I want to do something else.
Yeah, I think what happened was, like I said, I wasn't feeling challenged anymore. I kind of got to this height or climax or a plateau, if you will, of that aspect of my career, and I was about to be 40 years old, and maybe it was a change of heart or a midlife crisis, maybe some people might say. I don't know. I think I started wanting a sports car and wanted to do something else, and a bunch of funny thing is how social media works. It's bittersweet. A bunch of people and friends started tagging me on this open casting call for a Mark Wahlberg movie in Boston, which is an hour away. And I kept, rejecting it. What do I know? I'm not an actor. What do I know about that stuff? Forget about it. And I didn't want to hear it. I said, I would never be an actor. I completely had no interest, and people kept pounding me. You should go. And because I guess the criteria was New England tough guys, tattoos, beards, muscles, intimidating looks, like the whole list. It was just people were like, hey man, that's you. What are you trying to say? And I was having fun with it, but I had no intention of going. And my girl and a good friend of mine who has passed away since, Leo Telet, God rest his soul, they convinced me. They said, what are you doing? You keep complaining. We don't want to hear it anymore. You want to try something else. I mean, I was running nightclubs. I was moonlighting. I was like we talked about earlier. We always work. And I could be doing this, but I'm also doing this at night, and I'm putting this deal together over here, bing, bong, boom. So, and long story short, I decided, with all their prodding, I did some headshots, which I grew up, we don't take pictures. Get away from me with that camera. I don't want my pictures.
It's hilarious.
And,
Don't take my picture.
no, and I
I'll take
didn't know
yours.
how to smile. It was so weird to me. Smile for the camera. I was used to just making that mean mug face, or not taking a picture. So now the guy's telling me to smile, and I'm like, oh man, I can't do a fake smile. I smile a lot. I'm always laughing and joking, but it was hard for me. So even that from the beginning it felt very canned. But we had some successful headshots, yada yada yada. I go. There's a whole long story about how I was kind of discovered that day that I went, but it just led to a lot of open doors, like really fast. And I knew right away, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And I didn't have acting school under my belt. I didn't have any classes. I had no theater background, none of that stuff. And I said, man, if I really want to do this, I'm going to have to somehow, some way learn fast. And I let my fingers do the walking. I went in the Rolodex in the local area, and I just got lucky. There was a really good acting coach who was coming in from Hollywood to Boston, an hour away, and she was doing this series of acting classes 3 nights a week for the course of, say it was 3 to 6 weeks, whatever it was. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna spin the dice, and I just bought this series of classes, and I didn't tell anybody. I drove an hour each way with a 3-4 hour class, and for weeks at a time, and I ended up doing it for like 2-3 years.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, I mean,
How long ago was this?
This was going back like 5 years, so it hasn't been that long. But what happened was I became so enthralled with the work. I was learning Lee Strasberg's method acting strategies and all this vulnerability and peeling the layers off and finding, the little boy inside of me and all this, these things that I never thought in a million years that I would ever discover about myself. So many self-discoveries and all my life experiences and all the things that I've been through in this earth kind of made for a really good acting student. So I found myself, front of the class. And first time in my life, I've never been in the front of the class. And I was really excited, man. I couldn't wait to go to class. I went with bells on and I was studying at home, and my family and friends were like, wow, he's really taken to this. And I would just go off on my own, and I was reading books I just went in deep, man. I went in deep, and when I did, and this was pre-COVID, so I got to do the live acting classes in a classroom format with scene work with 20, 30 people, and I'm on the floor crying. I'm standing up. I'm jumping all around, bouncing off the wall. I'm doing all these wild things that I would never do, being like a reserved guy.
Right.
And I loved it so much that I didn't want to leave. I couldn't wait to perform again. I couldn't wait to study again. I couldn't wait to learn more. And next thing you know, the teacher, she started referring me, saying, "You got to see this guy," to the casting directors and stuff like that. Next thing you know, they're bringing me in for auditions, and then I soon learned, holy shit, auditioning is a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Live audition. I'm the coolest guy in the world till you bring me in with a line of people and you say these 3 lines. What were those lines again? Man, what a different feeling that was. And the best thing I did was a friend of mine from Boston said, "Hey man, check out this guy, James Dumont. He's a working actor, great guy, and he has audition classes and strategies, and he works out of a book by Tim Phillips called Audition for Your Career, Not the Job." And it was the perfect thing I needed at that time. I was getting pelted with auditions. I had this great look and sound, and everyone was saying I could act, and then I'd have stage fright on these auditions, and I didn't want to admit it. I'd tell everybody, "Oh yeah, I crushed that one," but inside I was like, "I blew it," And I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that can relate to that. But, the good thing was James Dumont, he's living in New Orleans. He flew up to Boston. He starts doing these weekend discoveries where, he'd pick a handful of actors from the local market that were budding and aspiring and bring us into a hotel room, and we would act out scenes, and we would actually audition. He would stage auditions for us and gave us all these strategies. Next thing you know, I'm following him. Now we're doing this all on Zoom and with COVID and this and that. Long story short, I start smashing them, man. I'm booking roles. And I got agents in Hollywood and New Orleans and New York and Boston and Miami, and I'm starting to travel all over the country, and it's starting to bubble, and I'm like, holy shit, I love this. I literally feel so blessed every day that I found something in this lifetime that I can express myself. I can draw upon my life experiences, the hurts, the pains, the good times, the bad times, the sorrows, the joys, and you give me a character, man, I promise you, I'm going to do my due diligence. I don't memorize lines. What I do is something a little different. I know who I am, where I am, why I'm there, why am I saying this to you, and then I go to my 5 senses. And this is all part of the Strasberg technique, and that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't still be doing what I'm doing. I probably would have fizzled out and did a couple background roles and said, "This is bullshit. They treat you like shit."
Yeah.
And I would have screwed. Because, I'm not the guy. I got some kid with $11 an hour and a walkie-talkie ain't going to yell at me and say, go to the back of the line. You can't eat chicken. You got to eat fucking french fries.
Yeah.
Get out of here, kid. I'll put you in the trunk. Forget about it.
So this is fantastic, because I'm really happy and proud to know that you're studying like that.
Oh, my
and when
God.
you describe your feeling of
Passion.
euphoria that you get when you're acting, it's like that of a stand-up comedian, because you're live. And that feeling is that of the
nothing
most
like it.
incredible drug you've ever done.
It's true.
Better than sex, better than food, better than
Endorphins.
anything. And you can't wait to get it again. So
Chase it.
when you've seen me on stage, I'm sure you're looking at me saying to yourself, he's got to be high as a kite.
Yeah.
Look at his
I know the
face.
feeling. Yeah.
And especially
is.
when you're doing a good show.
Yeah, it's a euphoria.
And you can't wait to do it again. That's what keeps you in this business,
It
because
does.
this business can be pretty brutal,
It
because
can.
it
If
is
you let it.
who you know business.
It's true, but there's a lot of people that take their negative baggage in life, no matter what gig they're doing, whether in entertainment or they work in a factory or a pizza place, they're just fucking miserable. So some of these people sign up to be actors,
Prune face.
and they're prunes and they're brutal, and I see guys and they try to bend my ear, and that's why I stay to myself a lot. And oh, this guy's no good, and that one's full of, oh my God, just get away from me with that. I don't want to hear it. I don't talk bad about people, and I don't like having people around me that talk bad about people. I love people, but I also am smart, and I protect my energy, and I stay as cocooned as I can.
Yeah, see, that's one of the problems I have too, because I let people sometimes suck my energy and it fucks me up
It
big
ruins you.
time,
It
man.
ruins you.
I suck the energy. I spend hours every day going, how could that person talk to me like that?
Yeah.
And I never let it go. It's
Yeah.
like I could be on stage and out of 200 people laughing and screaming, there's one person not laughing. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this
What's
person?
your problem?
Yeah, and that's the only person I think about for months. Fucking mother.
It's like a fucking nail in the side of your head. Yeah.
Rather than look over their head at the person behind, they go,
No,
"Oh,
we enjoy the approval.
I don't
We
know
do.
what it
No,
is."
but that's what it is. And I'm not afraid to say it. I have an ego. I enjoy seeing myself. Some of my actor friends, I don't even watch myself on screen. What?
Yeah.
I love to see. I want to see what I'm doing right. I want to see what I'm doing wrong, what I could do better. I enjoy it. And I do. I live off the endorphins, man. I get a high from, like just recently, I just came off Mob King. Great little movie with James Russo and a lot of really talented guys. And literally just a couple of days ago, we wrapped. We did some added scenes that really added some depth to the movie, I think. And I was very fortunate with this round. We did like 5 more scenes with me. And I really went to work, to the books, and I took the script they gave me and I said, you know what, I'm going to add some layers to my character. I'm going to add some layers and really go deep and show the audience different sides of this character that's this big, badass, ferocious villain. But I wanted to show a little more intimacy. And you know, I don't want to give away too much about the movie, but only reason I'm saying that is because I'm reiterating that high feeling of making actor choices, or like you make a choice, maybe you put a pause or a beat in between a punchline, like those little things, those strategies that you plan out because you know it works, so you've tried it, you toyed with it. And I'm doing that as an actor. I'm finding such a joy in making choices, sticking to my choices, and then but also being pliable, because sometimes in the moment you learn so much in the moment and you get feedback from the other actor. I had a great time with James Russo this week, and hanging out with him and working with him, and some of the gems that I got from this guy's got the strongest eye line in acting. When he was talking to me, he was looking through my soul, and I'm a big eye line guy. Like I look through you, and if you're talking, I'm listening, but how I let you know I'm listening is that I look through your fucking eyeballs to the back of your skull. And he does that. And when he was doing that, me and him, when we had a little jam session, we had some scenes together, he called me the next day. He goes, man, you brought the best out of me. I said, no, you brought the best out of me. And that's a good feeling.
Let's
This guy 40 years in the business.
Yeah,
I got 4.
Let's rewind a little bit so everybody knows exactly what you're talking about and who you're talking about and how this all played out. Mob King is a movie that's been in the works for
Couple years
some
now.
time,
Yeah.
and it's created by
Cyril
Cyril
DePaggio.
DePaggio,
Yeah.
who not only created it, but he's the one who produced it, and I guess he wrote it.
And stars in
and he stars in it. He had done a project called Silent Partners, which is, let's say, a TV version of Mob King, or I can't really say that.
That's
Maybe a new type of
I think it's like a sitcom.
Sopranos.
Is that a sitcom?
No, that was Suitcasing.
Okay,
He did
okay.
Suitcasing was a sitcom. He did a funny television show about being in prison. It was called Suitcasing. I saw it. I was not part of it. He cast me in Silent Partners. Silent Partners is supposed to be about the mob in the 80s in Miami.
Sure.
I got the part because I was friends with Gary Pastore, who
Great
said
guy.
to
I love Gary.
Gary, how you doing, man? Gary's
you
watching
doing,
the show
Gary?
right now. So he said, why don't you take a look at my friend Mike? He's a comedian, but he could pull off the acting role. So I had a lot of fun because the first time in my life, it wasn't a joke. I was playing an underboss, and I felt like I was Tom Hagen. I was the other guy.
You got into character.
You're not the
feel it.
muscle end of the business, Tom. And I enjoyed it, and I really wanted it to keep going. Hopefully, they'll sell that show, and I get to do, because I did do a bit in the pilot where you think it's funny or it's supposed to be funny.
Right.
and you do realize that I'm going to be a nasty motherfucker. But I'll always have a joke in the back of my head, which people don't like that.
That's what makes that genre funny. Like Sopranos, the humor of the Sopranos is what made it special.
Yeah.
The one-liners, the guys busting balls and being sarcastic. I grew up with those guys. I grew up with guys just like that. Everything was a joke. Everything was a one-liner. Everything was a wisecrack. And obviously, I carry that with me a little bit into my life. But I love that part. That's what makes, it's not all killing and all this crime and all that stuff. That's whatever. That's run of the mill. But when you have the say funny shit when you're doing it,
Yeah.
that's what makes it special.
It'd be more fun for me.
Yeah, for sure.
But so Ciro DiPaggio put together these two projects and several others, but this one, Mob King, you're in, and
I got to play the arch nemesis of the main character. It was a lot of fun.
which is
bad
fantastic.
I got to be the
Now,
bad
I believe
guy.
you went on this set with a small role, and it ended up
Yeah,
becoming bigger.
essentially, yeah. I think they realized, over the course of time, that it was necessary to develop my character more, the conflict. But I was fighting, shooting guns, kicking some ass, man, blood and guts everywhere. But it was a nice plot. It was a nice plot. Led, little
Well,
plot
what's
twist.
really amazing and wonderful for you is now you're in this eyeline scene that you're talking about with really, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, a legendary actor,
Sure.
character actor, James Russo. And James Russo's been in a
beast.
lot of TV movies,
Yeah, man.
a lot of films,
Donnie Brasco. He was one of the guys in Donnie Brasco. Come on. Epic.
and I'm pretty sure he was in Once Upon a Time in
He
America.
was.
I will never forget that line when he said something to these guys. He goes, "You've been better off you stayed in the Bronx."
Yeah.
And
He's
he
been
had a little
around,
role
man.
in Silent Partners as well. But you could see how this is all going hand in hand
Oh,
because
okay.
when people get along on a set
Yeah.
and they have that chemistry, away you go.
Right.
So this is really, really cool. So now you have footage of a project that you're in with a named talent.
Sure. I got a few this year. 2022, Mike, has been unbelievable.
All right,
I'm
so what you
excited.
want, roll it down because
Yeah.
I have all your projects listed here. There was like 12 projects that I was going to go over, and it was just like way too many. So
So-
why don't you tell everybody?
I'll give you
the
kind of
projects that
an
you're
overview.
doing.
Yeah. So long story short, I have
Busta.
to take my hat off for William DeMeo. William DeMeo, as a writer, actor, producer, director of Gravesend series based out of Brooklyn, New York, in the 80s, he actually asked me to be a character in his TV series a little over a year ago. We spent a good portion of the spring last year in Miami filming, and which actually led to me living here ultimately because I came down. It was the first time I got out of the neighborhood for that long. I spent a month in Miami. I'm filming. I'm on set every day. All kinds of bigger names. Armando Sante, which I love. One of my
Real quick,
favorite
while you
actors.
just said that, you
Me
just
too.
mentioned Armand Asante, and right now Armand Asante's cousin Marco Asante is watching
Hey
this right
Marco,
now.
what's up, buddy?
And Marco is in my web series Make America Italian.
Nice.
So right now he's just listening to
Good
this.
people.
And I'm going to be with Marco in 2 weeks. We're going to be at the Laugh Factory in Reno
world.
at the Silver Legged Casino and at the Laugh Factory. But isn't that cool how
That
this
is
is
cool.
all
Yeah, it's a
doing
circle.
this, that, and the other thing? All
So
right.
Armando Sante, which is a whole nother story in itself, epic, legendary, international movie star. Never mind all the awards and all that. He's a gentleman, one of the best mentors I've ever had. I really was honored to spend a lot of time with him last year through different events with Virtual Con, Soprano Con, Mob Movie Con, Gravesend. We just kept spending so much time, and I hung on his every word, man. Talk about having a gem as an aspiring actor to spend hours and hours on end with Armando Sante at his house, on set, different scenarios. I could go on and on about him for days, but Armando Sante, William Forsythe, another guy that's on Gravesend, epic, legendary actor. I mean, this guy goes. I remember him in Raising Arizona when I was a kid. That was a great movie. But Another one. Anybody seen Richie? Out for
Yeah.
Justice with Steven Seagal. I mean, the list goes on. It's another one that was on. What was the movie you just said that Russo was on? Once Upon a Time
In America.
He was in that too. He was. I mean, he's been in a ton of stuff, and he's a very talk about a regular guy. You could sit with that guy and just hang out for hours and do
Yeah.
nothing and have a good time with him.
I'd like to get him on the show if you're
Yeah.
watching. You can make that happen.
I think he's.
You made a couple things happen for me. I always wanted to meet a lot of the cast of Goodfellas, and here it is all this time later, and I've had them on my show. You introduced me to, what's the one guy who played the young Harry Hill?
Oh,
Young
Christopher
Harry Hill, when
Cerrone,
we
great
did-
guy.
Yeah, it's so
He's
nice.
my age, great kid. He was the young Henry Hill on Goodfellas. Chris Cerrone, if you're watching, I love you, kid. He's out in Colorado. So I've been very blessed. The last few years, my good friend Mike Mata with Virtual Con, Soprano Con, Mob Movie Con, that whole group, we did a lot of cool stuff with him that was another segue to, meeting a lot of, legendary actors, all the Sopranos and all that stuff. But going back to Gravesend, so big time Tommy Romola, another great guy, another big influencer, old school for life with the big
Tommy!
fucking cigars like this one. It's like a baseball bat. He's got a baseball bat on fire and he calls it a cigar. Guy's great.
Here's a funny thing I said to Tommy one day. We were doing a show, and I said to him, listen, I'm out of cologne. Could you hug me?
I love it.
You get it?
You might get cologne, you might get cigars, you get
Can you hug me?
You get some Cadillac fucking keys.
Forget about
He's
it.
great. And then Peter Gordio, another one, Paul Borghese, Bo Dietl. I mean, the list goes on and on. And Joe D'Onofrio. There's so many of those guys in Gravesend that we spent a month together. Paulie Malignaggi, one of my favorite fighters, is also an actor, and he was on the show with us too. There's so many of those guys in that show, and I got to spend so much time with them. I got to be one of the main characters, DeMeo's character, Benny Z. I got to be one of his henchmen, if you will, one of his right-hand men. And typical, I got to be the tough guy and kick some ass, but I also got to explore some layers of my character on that show, and I can't wait for you guys to see that series. They just signed Chaz Palminteri, Vinny Pastore, Tony Darrow, legends in the genre. These guys are all on Gravesend now. We're all on it together. I'm actually flying to New York this week to film more.
Well, Gary Pastormi told me you're going to be
He's
here
on the show
Saturday.
too. Yeah, I'm flying up Saturday. And I know he's doing a scene too. I'm hoping that we can catch up. 'Cause I love Gary. He's good people.
Nice.
Yeah.
How cool is this? This is
cool.
cool as shit. You got to mention Andrew Dice Clay's in it.
Andrew Dice
Andrew
Clay.
Dice Clay's in
Big
Gravesend.
name. Fran Drescher. Fran mother effing Drescher, the SAG-AFTRA president right now. Did you know that she's the SAG president?
Yeah.
The nanny, come on. The nanny is on Gravesend.
I give anything to have her voice in my G.I. Giovanni series.
Yes. What a
Play,
voice.
play Barbie doll.
She's epic, man. She's
But
a
you
very
also got
gracious
Vicky
person.
Battetto in Gravesend.
Vicky
too.
Battetto,
It's
he's
nice to
great.
see stand-up comics
Playing
together.
gangsters. Comics playing gangsters. I think that should be a whole thing, You've done it, he's done it. Now Dice, I mean, come on. Sebastian Maniscalco, he did it. All the big names. Everybody's a gangster.
The only reason why I became a stand-up comic back in the day is because I was earning a great living as an actor, but it stopped.
Right.
And you're not getting the roles that you did when you were younger.
It's awesome, man.
And then you could have a flair to do stand-up. I created a career as a comic. Now I'm going back into acting. So you really never know what you're going to get, or how
Just
it's
keep
all going to
going,
happen.
man.
You just try it. So now I have my podcast, Live from My Mother's Basement. I have great sponsors. I'm having fun. I have stand-up comedy booked for the rest of the year. I work with singers. I work with other comedians. I work with reality show stars. And I work with actors. It doesn't matter to me as long as we're all kicking ass
Yeah.
and having fun
Hell
and
yeah.
sending a message in the world that it's okay to laugh
It
and
is.
be happy.
It's true.
And it's okay to have a genre of movies you enjoy. If somebody else don't like it, that's their problem.
That's it.
You enjoy it, you like it. Everybody, as far as I'm concerned, is going to have an affection for a mob movie somehow. Two of the greatest movies of all time happen to be The Godfather and Goodfellas.
That's right. I agree.
So
I concur.
what are you gonna do?
I concur.
You know, they had a hard time getting The Sopranos on the air, but once it was on the air, it was an international sensation.
Phenom.
There's nothing you can do about it.
That's right.
So
And now
what-
they're gone. What's that line you say?
They're gone now.
They're gone
and there's
now.
nothing you could do about it.
That's
It's from Goodfellas.
I know, of course.
But he was on the
It's the
paper.
best. I love when you say it though. They should have had you say it in the fucking movie. You say it better. Oh man, but Gravesend, back to Gravesend really quick. what an opportunity I've had to showcase my skills. Hasn't come out yet. People are chomping at the bit. When that does air, I don't know where it's gonna be, when it's gonna be, but I know it's. I've seen some of the footage. Wow, it's shot beautifully. There's a lot of really good plot twists and drama, and mayhem. It's a really intense show. It's set in the late '80s, back and forth between Brooklyn, Philly, and Miami. So my character, I don't want to say too much, but my character, it's an honor. I'm going to give you guys a little insight, especially my friends at home that are watching from where I'm, my hometown. My character is Mario Ludo. I'm one of the right-hand men, like I said, to Benny Z. And my character, I get introduced in the first episode as, yeah, that's Mario. He's a little fucked up in the head. I met him in the feds, but he's super loyal. He's with us now. And they say in the opening scene that I'm from Providence, Rhode Island. So to my friends at home, it's a beautiful thing. I think you would agree that my character is from where I'm from. So it's a badge of honor I get to wear. I'm gonna tell you a secret why they did that. I'd like to say it's because they're so fond of me and they wanted to give me a little gem. It's because they knew I couldn't pull off the Brooklyn accent because I don't sound like them.
No, you don't have an accent.
And I love Willie, and we have a great relationship. We've worked on a couple projects together. He actually starred in my movie, The Family's Feud, that I produced a couple of years ago. I co-produced, and he studied me, and he said, "Man, you're a really talented guy. You're a really good actor. I want you in my TV show." A lot of people say stuff like that, and you don't know if it's true until it really happens.
Wow.
This one was real.
Your whole life.
And he said, I don't expect you to try to sound like us, because we can't sound like you. He goes, simple enough, I'm the writer. And he wrote that I'm from Providence, Rhode Island, so that justifies the way I sound. So I can just let it rip and be me. And that's
a great thing. Nothing like knowing the guys on the inside. But you also have a lot of projects, and I want to take in some questions from everybody that's watching right now.
Please.
You got a lot of your friends and fans from that realm writing in, especially Marco Asante, which is really cool.
Sure.
They'll end up putting him in Gravesend because he's really, cousins with Armand Asante.
Armand is the best, man. What a sweet man.
So,
sweet gentleman. I'm actually doing...
The other projects that you mentioned...
I just did a mini-series in Philly. Spent a couple weeks out in Philly with Nick Turturro, Daniel Baldwin, and a whole slew of really local, like when I say top tier talent in Philly, some of these folks were they blew me away because, you have a couple of names and you got, different people mixed in, but some of the local actors in Philly, I could not believe the level of talent that I saw and witnessed and I got to work with. And I was really proud, man. It's called Recipes for Love. And this woman, Teresa Warwick, she's a writer from Pennsylvania and from Philly originally. She wrote this mini-series. It's got a comedic flair. It kind of reminds me of like Everybody Loves Raymond. And I enjoyed it. My character was fun. I didn't have to kill anyone. I didn't have to beat anybody up yet. But I had a lot of fun with that. So we filmed that. I got to do scenes with Daniel Baldwin, who's a great guy, down to earth, old school guy, been in the game forever, and also Nick Turturro, another legend in the game, man. He was a lot of fun to work with, and I'm looking forward to more from both of those guys. We have a couple other things in the works that we're matched up on, but Recipe for Love, that's a good one. And then moving on from that, I have I just did a movie with Adrian Brody.
Yes, that's the one.
When I say just did, we filmed it in 2018, but it's in theaters and on demand right now. It's
Adrian
called
Brody.
Clean, Clean. If you want to watch my really cool cameo, it was cool because they kind of slowed down my scene and made it like slow motion with Adrian Brody. So badass little scene. I could talk about it because it's out now, but it's I got an Adrian Brody's face, man. A-list, A player.
Oh, he's an A-lister.
I said, what the fuck are you looking at? I said, you got a motherfucking eye problem? I stared him down so hard that the fucking director jumped off his chair and said, I found this fucking kid. I found him. Watch. He's a bad motherfucker. And I was so proud. I said, wow, it's one of the nicest things anybody said to me all day. And that was Paul Solet, the director for Clean. He's one of Adrian Brody's buddies. They do a bunch of movies together. But I had a lot of fun with those guys.
Well, listen, you're kicking ass out on the road there. And right now, there's a lot of people started asking questions before I even said I was going to take in some questions.
Sure.
So give me that bottle of wine if you don't mind. We do have snacks on the table. We're Italian. We've been snacking. We have Busta on the table. We got some slices of pizza on the table, just from some local Italian restaurant here in Boca Raton. There's a lot of great Italian restaurants.
Very good.
And everybody gets to go out and be in the nice heat and the beautiful. But one of our friends, Massimo Battista, he has his wine. It's called Cabiche.
Cabiche.
And he also has the real Juch wine. You can find Massimo Battista on Instagram and of course on Facebook. I went and bought some
Probably in
clothes on
Dubai
there.
right now.
Yeah,
This guy
he's unbelievable. Great guy. So let's take in some questions right now. We have a question from Buenos Aires in New Jersey, and it says, "How Bruce? How long have you been in show business?"
Less than 5 years. And that's taken into consideration with COVID, probably more 4 years, really. But I mean, I was working during COVID because I actually produced my film with my partner, Stu Raplogal, The Family's Feud. Guys, keep your eyes out. We won awards, gold standard and above awards, because film festival awards, they don't mean shit. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm a straight shooter. You can buy a fucking participation award if you want. But my guy put us in for all the gold standard and above, and we got 70-something awards internationally all over the world. It's a very funny movie, The Family's Feud. Wise guys meet hillbillies, and there's a little Bigfoot aspect of the movie. I don't want to give away too much, but the who's who are in my movie. Furio from Sopranos, Federico Castelluccio. I mean, the list goes on. Willie DeMeo, Joe D'Onofrio, Peter Gordio, Paulie Malignaggi. A lot of the Gravesend guys were in my movie. And like you said, when you build relationships, you kind of all work together and invite each other, work in each other's projects, because you know who can do what. You know who can fit what role.
You also have chemistry. You're glad to be around each other. It's like a big reunion.
Yes. Al Sapienza. You know Al Sapienza?
Yes.
He's a great guy. He was in my movie, too. He's in Gravesend, too.
We've gotten to work with a lot of talent like this in different situations.
Sure.
You mentioned the movie festivals. I've always been the guy who hosted the awards at the end.
Right.
And I remember after like 10, 15 years of doing all these mini Oscars, I remember saying to myself, is anybody winning anything? What do you get?
Yeah, what do you
I'm
get?
the only one getting
Get a
paid.
trophy?
You know, I ended up getting parts in movies because I was hosting things,
Yeah.
and that was a good thing.
Oh, you know what I forgot? I got a good one. A real good one. Pay attention. Keep your eyes on Netflix. I did a movie last year in Atlanta with Rob Lowe. And I got real good scenes with Rob Lowe. Talk about another A-lister from the 80s. I mean, this kid is, he's coming back. He's cleaned up his image. And his, you know, it's a family movie. It's Netflix. He's a producer on it. And he stars in it. Father and son, they lose their dog. It's called Doggone. Doggone. Watch Netflix for that release. I know it's going to be any day now. And I played a biker. Believe it or not, I don't know. They wanted a guy with tattoos and muscles and a scary face. And next thing you know, I'm on a Harley Davidson. I'm riding around Georgia. And I don't know. I had 100 guys with patches and vests on. And I said, okay, I'm a biker. They said, and the guy did. I landed the role. I did the audition, right? It's a funny little story. Now, I personally have never had a motorcycle. I've always had Cadillacs and SUVs. So now I audition, of course, like everybody else. I self-tape all the time. I'm doing 5 to 7 auditions a week at this point, and even last year. So I land the Doggone, and I fly to Atlanta. I go to do the show. About 2 hours before the scene, the assistant director calls me and says, "Hey, Mr. Soscia, you ride, right?" And now that's not in the fucking script. So I go, "Yeah, of course. I've been riding for years. Naturally. I'm a fucking actor. You think I'm going to give up this gig? I'm going to go work with Rob Lowe." "Yeah, I ride. What do you got in mind?" He goes, "Well, you know, we didn't mention, but we got this chopper, this Harley on the set, and we think after you have your exchange with Rob Lowe, we need you to get on the Harley and you know, whip it down the road with 100 bikers around you, you know, your crew, because you're the president." And I go, "Yeah, no problem." I go, "Oh, I don't ride a fucking bike." I get to the set. What do? I go find the assistant director. I said, "Hey, you think I could take this thing for a ride? You know, how long do I got until it's my scene?" He goes, "You got like 2 hours." I said, "You mind if I get acclimated? It's not like my bike at home. It's a little different. You know, it's got the handlebars way up here." I said, And he goes, yeah, sure, the owner's right over there. So I told the owner, I said, buddy, I don't fucking right. I gotta be honest. Can you go down the parking lot with me and give me a little tutorial? He goes, yeah. Now he's nervous as shit, but he's just happy to be there just like me. So we go down the parking lot. He gives me a crash course on how to ride a fucking handlebars like this. And then I fell in love. I said, why haven't I had a bike all these years? I'm riding this thing around to the point where they're calling, where's the talent? We need to do a scene. He's on the fucking bike on the highway. I'm riding all around Georgia on the mountains. Oh, this is great. And anyway, I got to do my scenes, and I had a good time with Rob Lowe. So watch out for that. Doggone on Netflix, family movie. It's going to be a good one. You guys are going to enjoy it. You'll get a kick out of my exchange.
It's amazing how somebody looks at you and says, okay, we need a guy who rides a Harley. Obviously, you must be riding a Harley.
Right.
What's the first thing you do? Go out and say, does anybody know how to drive a Harley? I've never been on one. I don't even know what they look like.
Which, it's funny.
And everybody's writing in doggone right now.
2 weeks ago, I finally got my motorcycle endorsement, so I'm safe. If you see me on a bike, don't worry. I took the class. I was aced the course, the written, the driving. And you will see me in that segue too. I can't say too much, but I landed my first co-lead role in Hollywood, and I can't say what it's called or who the names are in it, but it's a big press release about to come out. And I asked my publicist today if I have permission to talk about it at all, and I was told yes, but don't give away anything important. You know, it's still super high, high profile, yada yada yada. But I'm gonna be in a new show in Hollywood, and it's 5 guys on bikes. So now I get my wish. I get to ride a bike in Hollywood on a TV show, and it's supposed to be a pretty badass thing. The premise is these 5 guys that come back from war. They got PTSD. And they band together and they form a little, biker group, if you will. What do you call that? A club? Group? I don't want to say the word gang because it sounds like.
It sounds typical.
Yeah.
Stereotypical.
Stereotypical.
Let me see. You're going to have 5 Harleys, and then I come up the rear on a big wheel.
That's perfect. I love
We got to take in some questions. We've been talking for an hour. We got a couple minutes before we go. Right now, there's a friend of mine out in Los Angeles. So let's do a nice shout out, Orly, the coach. It's nice to see you.
Hi,
We're all
Coach.
coming back to Los Angeles next week.
That's right.
I go to Los Angeles on Sunday, the 8th. When are you going?
I'm going to New York for next week. For about a week. I'm filming a few times next week. But I have like 6 different projects in LA, so I'll be out there a lot. I think it starts in June. I start going back and forth. June, July, August, September, October. I got a lot of stuff cooking out there, man.
Good. Because then you can hang around with me in Los Angeles, and we'll go do the Sunset Strip, do some shows over at the Laugh Factory, and have you come and hang out. People are like, hey, mate, who's Marino hanging around with? Looks like a bike. I'm like, no, he's not. He's not.
I might have a bike on your show. I might come up on the stage like Chuck Zito, another guy that's in Graves, and I love Chuck Zito. He's a fucking man.
Tell us really quick, because someone's asking, how many tattoos do you have?
How do I count? I don't know. I'm covered, man. I'm covered. I gotta be honest. It's head to toe.
Looks like you got a shirt on.
Yeah, I got a few. We'll just say I got one big one. Right?
I don't
saying that for years.
I don't have any tattoos, but I was supposed to get one and I chickened out. I don't know. I think at this stage of the game, maybe I'll get that tattoo of the beard that the other guy was talking. Imagine that. You see me on the next show. I got a black beard. What is that? It's a tattoo. Where'd you get it? At a barber shop called Busta's.
That's perfect.
All right. Tell everybody your social media and where we can find you on the internet.
I love when my friends and fans follow me and show me support. Just like Mike and I were saying earlier, we do this because we love it, but we also do it. We enjoy the fans. We enjoy interacting with the people. But it's actor Bruce Soscia on Instagram, actor BRUCESOSCIA. And then I have a Facebook, Bruce Soscia, which is probably maxed out, but I have a fan page that I'm starting to interact a little more, Bruce Busta Soscia. All my friends call me Busta. You're my friends now, so follow me and give me a shout. Tell me you met me on the Mike Marino show, and I'll send you a free laugh from Mike Marino in a sip of wine.
From Cooch.
Capiche.
Or Gabiche.
Chooch. A chooch wine, a capiche wine.
I want to say thank you so much, and we do have to end with one little bit of thing you do. I was supposed
It's
to
over
match
already?
this. We were talking for an hour and 10
I
minutes.
thought the show was 2 hours.
2 hours. I got a plane to catch. Look at everybody's calling him Busta now.
Oh, man. Put your
Put your
shirt
shirt
back
back on. Mike's getting worked up.
Don't worry about it.
We love you too, Tracy. All right,
Forget
thank you, everybody.
about it.
Talk to me really quick about your charity.
So
And cancer.
I've had just like all of us. I'm sure I've had a lot of friends that we've lost the battle to cancer. I've done several cancer research fundraisers in the past. I'm cooking something up right now. I love along the way to give back. So I'm not going to toot my own horn, but there's a lot of little things I like to do in between. But I am going to be announcing very soon. I'm going to be doing something in Miami, and there will be a charitable aspect. I'm doing a collaboration with a music producer by the name of Dre Knight, the Gem Factory. He's in Miami in a beautiful Paramount building. I've been doing some work with him. I'm not a music guy, but I have a lot of friends that are. So what do? We network, we help our friends, right? So I've been flying in some friends and family. Amadeo from American Idol, one of my cousins from back home. He came down and spent some time with us this past week in Miami producing some songs from scratch, and it was a beautiful thing to sit there and watch these guys. Dre's going crazy on the keyboard and the beats, and Amadeo's singing his heart out, and I'm just sitting there like, I don't do any of this stuff, but I'm just happy to watch this creation and like give my, creative artistic input when I can. But so just stay tuned. You'll see I'm gonna do another cancer research charity. Rest in peace, Billy V. I don't know if you ever met Billy V. He used to come with me to a lot of the events that you came to.
No, that's sad to hear.
Yeah, very sad.
Well, listen, I'll throw my name into that. So you need me, we do some charities. I'm good at hosting. I can crack a joke or two, and we can talk about it on the show, and we'll make some things happen. But you guys know how to stay in touch with Busta. He's got a lot of stuff going on in the world of acting, movies, television, and cool stuff like that. So thank you everybody for watching tonight's show. We got to get out of here.
I'll be in New York this week. For New York people, hit me up. I'm filming Gravesend this week. We got all the big stars out there. So I'll be in Long Island. So if anybody's in Long Island, give me a shout, and I'll take a picture with you. I promise.
Yes.
With my shirt on.
With his shirt on.
Because it's cold up there. We could do this down here. It's warm. You should take your shirt off too, Mike. Can you just
the
take
hell out of here.
Just one time for the fans.
I'm not going to take my shirt off.
Oh, you already took your pants off.
Wait a minute. My new jacket that I got from Massimo Battista.
Oh, that's nice.
Is this nice?
It's very nice.
He told me this is something you would wear, so you got to get
it. It is. It's very slimming. I can already tell because it's got the stripes up and down.
Yeah, well.
Well, you either look like you just broke out of prison or you're ready to go and nail the town.
Oh, come on, man.
Maybe if I wore it, it would look like
This is my new jacket that I got from Massimo Battista. So we'll end it with me wearing a jacket and him naked.
That's it.
Remember, let's make America Italian, everybody. And you know everybody. And you know my motto. You don't know nothing. You don't see nothing. You don't say nothing. Listen, I want to thank everybody for watching tonight's show. Thank our producer, Tatiana Blue Shell, out in Los Angeles, California, for always making this a great podcast every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, depending on where you are in the world. My tour is going out of control. I'm booked now till April of next year. Go to MikeMarino.net. Come and see a live event and watch us have some fun. Yeah. Listen to us on iTunes, Google, Spotify, Anchor, Italian American Radio out of New York City, of course, YouTube, and here on Facebook and Instagram Live. Good night, everybody. And how do I end every single one of my shows? By always saying the same thing. Don't take no shit from nobody. You ready? Don't take no shit from nobody.
Nobody. Forget about it.
Hey folks, I hope you're enjoying watching my podcast live from my mother's basement. We're having a lot of fun, and I'm going to have a lot of great guests on the show in the future. So if you like it, hit like. You could also leave a comment. You could subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch other funny videos. And you could also listen to my podcast on your favorite podcast app like Spotify and iTunes.